know if very many parents are aware of it yet, but it was brought to my attention that the middle school kids and the high school kids will not be dressing for PE again this year. And I was wondering why, and I have spoken with Dr. Graves about it. And the first reason was why is that they weren't aware of what was going to happen with the pandemic this year, so he didn't order the outfits for the middle schoolers, which that does not affect the high schoolers at all. And so, so not ordering the uniforms would not affect the high schoolers. And then my understanding through our messages was that they didn't want to have that many kids in that small amount of space and mixing it up. And so, and Dr. Graves can certainly interrupt me if I misstate something incorrectly, but I don't believe that we're in a pandemic. I don't believe that the kids should have to wear their stinky clothes all day long if they're exercising in it. I'd like to put the adults in the same situation, that if we exercised all day, that we would have to work in our same clothes. I don't know how many parents were aware of that, and I don't know why we're not given that information for our kids, for one. And I don't understand, even through our multiple emails that we had, why that is happening at our school. And I would like more parents to be aware of it, and I would like that to change if that's a protocol.
Deanna, it is in the protocols.
It is in the protocol.
It is in the protocols. It's under dressing for physical education, physical health, and wellness classes. And it says that to minimize the use of the locker rooms, high school and middle school PE, physical health and wellness classes will not dress or only dress on a limited basis. Elementary PE classes do not dress for PE.
Okay, and so then one of my questions to him was, will the extracurricular activities be dressing also, like the football games, basketball games, etc.? And I believe the answer would be yes, they would be. And I said, I don't understand why they get to use the locker rooms and the PE classes don't. And there would be more sanitation for those activities is what I understood. And I don't understand how it would be in one situation, not the other, especially when PE is part of the curriculum.
Good point. Good point.
And there is no pandemic at this point. I mean, our cases, I looked up our cases, and I think they were, someone can state what they were today.
Cases, not infection.
So I don't know if anybody has an answer of why that is part of the protocol. And
Dr. Graves, I assume you've already responded to Mrs. Hetland about that.
Specifically, what question?
Why the classes are allowed to use the locker, are not allowed to use the locker room, but extracurricular activities are allowed to use the locker room.
For extracurricular activities, they frankly most of the time need to use the locker room because there's, for example, with football, great deal of equipment, great deal of gear, and a lot of physical exertion, so they need to be able to use it. In many PE classes, they frankly don't. So we're basically removing it from the issue in one area, where we understand that if we were to say, okay, use the locker room for football, that would create intractable problems, especially on the away games. So that's why I permitted one and not the other.
And for football, my understanding would be that would be 80 students approximately in the locker room, as opposed to all of the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at the middle school circulating through probably half in a day, circulating through that locker room.
but they're all circulating through the school right now, and they're all circulating through the lunchroom right now. What is the difference through the locker room and PE? I mean, they're all circulating everywhere.
Isn't that our, with all due respect, Dr. Graves, I believe your argument is irrelevant. Because we're not talking about football versus PE per se. I understand that, but we're addressing the contradictory policies or procedures. And so you can't say it's one way for one group, another way for another group, and use the equipment and all that is your justification for it. They're still there, touching, feeling, changing clothes, whatever the case is, be it PE or not. If they go to the lunchroom, if they go outside, it doesn't matter. There's all the touchy-feely stuff with equipment and supplies and everything else. So I think the argument with there's a differentiation between an athletic team versus a PE, session, I think is irrelevant. You gotta look at what are the people interacting with, whether it's an inanimate object or other people in the process. And if you say, oh, you can't do this, but you can do this, and it has the same interactions involved with inanimate objects and other people, you're defeating the purpose on it. It doesn't make, do you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to me.
But I would respectfully disagree. Here's the thing, I can hold PE without dressing.
I'm sorry.
I can hold PE without dressing. There's many extracurriculars, I can't control the other. So it's simply a matter of what I know about it or not. So I'm getting as much of this policy as I can, trying to provide the protection as I can without taking a penalty and not having a support organization.
What are we protecting against?
COVID-19.
There's no pandemic.
I understand what you're saying.
Then why-
When I made a decision last spring, we were concerned that it might be, and so I made the decision back then to not make a purchase of the equipment.
But our high schoolers don't need uniforms.
Yeah, and you had your opportunity to listen, thank you, I think we need to move on. Go ahead.
I would like to ask, so then, students that are in the PE classes, are you gonna let them opt out? I mean, you're not, my daughter is in an older class, she's not gonna be in PE classes anymore. But again, I feel like we're psychologically and mentally messing with these children. It's already hard enough being a teenager. Their bodies are going through changes, you're gonna have them do physical activities, they're gonna smell, they're gonna be made fun of. I feel again, we're putting sports on a pedestal. It always happens, and I do not understand this. Well, I do, but it makes zero sense. And I, as a parent, I would not want my child to be in a PE class if she was not gonna be allowed to shower.
You know what, that was not, I had nothing to do with putting it up, that was not, I had nothing to do with my decision. Let me add though, that of all the restrictions that were put on with COVID-19, not dressing for PE was singularly most popular.
Right, but again, for some of those that are uncomfortable with that, are you gonna let them not participate? Because they're not comfortable, are you gonna allow them to, their parent come get them and take them home so they can shower?
We would look at other accommodations. We have that.
That is something that I actually addressed on that survey, just giving the kids opportunities, so if they shower, if they do need one afterwards, is that a possibility, or is it just strict, you know, you can't?
We would look at making accommodations.
Some kids